Hey, everybody. I am Dr. Jerika Dodd, executive editor of PharmaSis Magazine. And when I looked at my calendar this morning, I was like, oh, this is a great way to start my day because one of my very good friends, and I don't even say pharmacy friends, because you know how you got them pharmacy friends, and then no, one of my good friends, and she probably is like, whoa, because when she got online, I'm like, I got all these things to tell you. She probably was like, whoa, that's too much. That's just way too much. That's too much enthusiasm this early in the morning. Nonetheless, I am so excited. And like I said, when I looked at my calendar this morning and saw that Dr. Leslie Hodge wanted to stop by and just talk, like when I tell you we have no agenda, like we didn't get together, even even preparing to go live, we didn't even talk about what we were going to talk about. We were just talking about just catching up. And so, but I'll say this in that when you are building a business, you really need to have friends that get you, that understand what you're doing, that you understand what they're doing, and just you need to have good people around you. And I say that as pharmacists, it is so easy for us to try to do it all on our own, and we don't ask for help, and we don't lean on anybody. We don't say, hey, I'm struggling with this, that, and the other. Do you know this special lady right here was the person who was on the phone with me from our first conversation, and I was like, I don't know what to charge. Like, she's like that kind of friend that you can be like, hey, I'm not really sure what to charge. What I mean, and she was like, okay, this is what you need to do. And I mean, like that, I knew, not because she gave me that advice, but just I knew from our first time meeting that this lady was like so awesome. Welcome. It's right here. You see how I just reached and got it? I didn't even have that plan. It was just right here. Welcome, Dr. Leslie Hodge. That was a long introduction.
Hi. It's all good. Hey, we got that history, so it's all good. It speaks to that.
And I actually have another magazine that Leslie and I share. I just don't have it with me, but this one is so near and dear to my heart because Leslie was the first cover girl with me in the first issue of PharmaSis Magazine. And that was back in 2019. And I'm so excited because she is gracing. She's been behind the scenes of this magazine since the beginning. She's been dressing people to show up and be their bold, beautiful self. Yes. And then she came back this year and was like, yeah, I'll be a writer. I'll drop some of my expertise in your magazine. And so Leslie is back as one of our contributing authors, and I could not be more excited to have her. So I'm gonna let her, like Leslie is that person that literally I can turn off my camera and she can take it from here. Leslie is gonna tell us, Leslie, what are you gonna be writing about in the upcoming issues of PharmaSis Magazine?
Oh my goodness. I'm thinking, because it's one of those things that I could plan something, but then once I start writing, I could totally go a different direction. So I will probably, don't hold me to it, but I will definitely, please don't hold me to it. This is not a binding contract to stick to this subject. However, I plan to talk about how to dress in and out of season, right? Mm-hmm. And not just in and out of season from a climate standpoint, but in and out of season for what you're doing in your life. And so we all go through different seasons. We all go through different times. And I just feel like as I've gone through different seasons, that how I show up is tweaked a little bit. And it doesn't have to be a drastic tweak. You're still going to know who I am when I walk in the room, right? Because that's one thing I'm really big on. I want to enhance, not totally just reconstruct someone, but enhance them. And so I'm like 99% sure that's the plan, to talk about that, how to dress in and out of season, but seasons of life.
Well, and Leslie, I talk to women in pharmacy every day. And I actually was just speaking with a woman the other day who's actually not in pharmacy, and she was expressing interest in being coached. And what I understood was that part of just in looking and how she showed up and her body language and what have you, and she was saying to me, I just don't feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be professionally. And so, I started digging in a little more, and not even from an aesthetics, a dress or an attire, but why do you feel that way? I said, who are you making a comparison to? That, and I said, you're an entrepreneur. Why is it that you feel that you're not, you don't cut it? Where's the standard coming from? Is it your standard? Is it someone else's standard? And I really do believe that part of that whole confidence quotient, if you will, comes from, do you feel good in your own skin and how you look? And so I heard you say, I want to enhance, but I could even just tell that just by the way she showed up, that her confidence in herself, in her career, in her business, and then I could also see the way that she was dressed. And I think that when we feel better, when we look our best, we also feel our best.
Absolutely.
So, talk about how showing up and how you physically look, not that you should necessarily, that's not all that there is, but when you have that part together, how does that translate into career success and business success?
So when you have that together, it really is showing up, right? You feel more empowered, you feel unstoppable in some places. You even feel like, you know what? Even if this was not something I would have considered before, you're more open to things. It just really, I say it really unlocks the sea of possibilities when you feel like you are supposed to be there, or where you feel like, okay, this is an opportunity for me. A lot of times we don't feel like we're supposed to be somewhere, quote unquote, because of comparison, right? We look and see other people who are same age, same race, same type of background. They're here, I'm here. And it's like, what am I not doing? What am I not doing? But that also goes into understanding who you are, understanding that you are individually, fearfully and wonderfully made, and there's only one you, and you have an assignment. And so when you look at where someone else is, don't become intimidated by that, become inspired by that, and just really not focus on that, because you don't know. This is the thing. You don't know what it took to get that person to that place, to that position that they're in. And so if you step back and just assess what you have, not what you don't have, because we do that too. But when you step back and assess what you do have, you will realize that you are right where you're supposed to be. And you're further along than you give yourself credit for. And that is so important. And so once you embrace that, you showing up is one of those things that you won't have to announce you're there. People will be drawn to you because you're there, because you're there as your best self. And just experiencing that, it only takes one time to experience that. Whoa, okay, I got this thing, right? And so once you experience that, you want to experience that more and over. Exactly. So I that would be my thing to say. Just get to the point where you're not looking at what's not there, but looking at what you do have, and then move from your position and understand it's only one you. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. It's I wrote this in my very first book. And the title just escaped me as I said that. But one of the stories in the book talked about when people are running races like the Olympics, and everyone starts at the starting line, right? The gun goes off, everyone starts running. But when they begin to make that curve, what looks like someone is ahead and what looks like someone is in last place, is only because of the view that you have. But when you step back and allow everyone to run their race, you will be surprised at who ends up in first, who you counted as last, and who you counted as first may be last. But the point is, you cannot judge just from that view. You have to understand that everyone is standing in their lane, everyone's running their race, and everyone will get to their goal at their appointed time. So again, not intimidation by what's going on around you, but be inspired. But don't focus on that. Focus on what you've been called to do and only you can do.
And, you know, I like to think of it this way because I think that as pharmacists or as pharmacy professionals, we were, and Dr. Katasha Kendrick said good morning.
Good
She's not on
morning.
anymore, but she put a message on to say good morning. And
Good
then I
morning.
wanted to let you know that pharmacist Kim Newlove, who is a podcast host, and everybody's heard her podcast, said you should write about looking good online via Zoom for recorded content. You both look great. So thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Kim. That's the
Thank
expert talking. Thanks, Kim.
Right. Thank them both for stopping by and saying hello.
Absolutely.
So if you're watching us, definitely let us know that you're there in the chat. And you know, Dr. Leslie, one of the things that I like to think about is my competition is who I was yesterday. That's my competition. My competition is who I was yesterday. Dr. Katasha said, I'm here. She was like, don't say I'm not on anymore. I am right here. I can't wait until we do your live. I know the date got changed, so I'm excited and can't wait until we can do your live. And so look, let's see, we got some more. Let's see, Latasha Fields says good morning. Good morning, Latasha.
Good morning.
Look at all this love this morning.
I appreciate
And
love.
Dr. Katasha says, loving the conversation. So I'm so glad you're here. She was like, don't say I'm gone. I'm right here. So, but yes, what I was saying is that in the pharmacy profession, as we were sent through school, I think it was a very competitive environment. We know that there were a lot of people who didn't make it, a lot of people who changed their majors, a lot of people who made it, but they graduated several years after us. All of those things, and so it tends to have you being more outwardly focused. And I was just saying this yesterday, that sometimes I have to remind myself, Jerika, this is what you've been called to do, because social media, I think, also unfortunately contributes to a lot of the comparison that happens and making us feel small. We could talk all day on this one. I think that unfortunately, some of the work environments that we found ourselves in have not been set up, especially for women of color. And so you're trying to assimilate and be a part of an environment that wasn't set up or meant for you to succeed anyway. I mean, if you happen to succeed, that's okay, but it wasn't necessarily designed for that purpose. And so you walk away feeling small. You walk away going, oh my gosh, I'm not enough. And I like to say, one, I remind myself that the lane that I'm in is the lane that I'm called to be in. I'm not called to be somebody else. I'm not called to do all the things that everyone else is doing. I'm called to do these things and to do them well. But I'm also competing against who I was. Am I better today than I was yesterday? Am I better today than I was last week, last month, last year? Because the thing that I think is, one, comparison is the thief of joy. And so even when you are looking over the fence and looking at what so-and-so is doing, you're like, and you're not even happy. And so that's the thief of joy. And I want all of my joy. So I want to compare myself to who I was. Am I getting better compared to where I started or where I was at a particular milestone? So, Dr. Leslie,
yes,
for me, you and y'all, I love it because like y'all don't even let me know, but you have styled several women. I mean, I have called a coaching client and been like, hey, I need you to call Leslie and just tell her I said we got to get these things fixed. And I was like, please know that I'm offering this from a place of love. But I just need you to call Leslie and just tell her what I said, and she'll work it out. And so I can't imagine, because obviously I don't style women in their looks and in their fashion and feeling good about themselves in that regard. But I do work with women, if you will, in getting their mindset together. And so it's an amazing woman when I've seen the transformations that you've done with people. And then when they show up and they show up in the pictures in the magazine, I'm like,
Yes.
And they show up. It's like you, when you've worked with them, you've given them permission to be that brilliant, bold, beautiful woman that they are. And I think sometimes, I tend to think of us as like reminding people.
That's all it is. That's
I
all
remind
it is.
people that you can dream and that you can go after your dreams. I love to, because I had to be reminded that I could dream. You know, when somebody first challenged me and was like, "Do you love where you live?" I was like, "Well, I like it." And then she was like, "Okay, well, you need to move." I was like, "Oh my God." And it was like somebody had given me a gift. So I went to bed that night and I was writing a list of all the cities in the United States that I love. And it's just that I had to be reminded it's okay to dream and then run after those dreams. And phew, I took off. That, I think, is what we're in the business of reminding people, because we get so bogged down with work and with requirements.
I was going to say that, requirements and checklists, and we get focused on, we get reminded of, let me say this, I'm having flashbacks from retail pharmacy. We get reminded of what we haven't done, right? I'm like, time out. Tell me what I did. Tell me what I did first before you give me what I didn't do, right? And we have to do that ourselves. And if we're not careful as leaders, as wives, as girlfriends, whatever, we'll do that too. We'll get to the point where we're telling you and telling each other what you haven't done and haven't said, wait a minute, but thank you for doing this. You know, thank you for doing that. But it's so interesting that you say that about the transformations and the permissions, because I laugh and say this in all transparency. The biggest compliments actually don't come from the clients. They come from their spouses. They come from
like, yes.
They're like, thank you. Or, you know, the client will tell me, hey, I just want you to know my husband thanks you. He said, whatever you want to do. You know, I know we set a budget at first. We no longer have a budget. Have a budget.
Like, take over.
Because they understand, like, if she's happy, then I'm happy. If she gets it, then I get it. You know what I mean? So it's that that trade-off in the sense, right? Well, not really a trade-off, but it is that permission, but it's that trade-off in the sense of whatever it's going to take. And if it's going to take you showing up and seeing yourself as a boss for one day to make you take off running, then by all means, here's the credit card. Tell her to get what she needs to get you, and let's go, right? Because it makes a difference. It really
so
does.
You know what I'm telling people who come and they're being a part of the magazine, and you know they've been styled, then I'm looking at them because it's not just for a one-time thing. So I think sometimes people come, and so I have said to a couple of people that have been styled in the magazine, I'm like, so you know you can't go back, right? Like there's no going back to whatever she brought you from to wherever she, like there's no going back. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a dressed up magazine shoot type picture every day, but she has helped you elevate to a different level of confidence, of surety in how you show up, how you look, how you present yourself.
Yeah, it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
So you know that you cannot go back. And they look at me and they're like, what? I'm like, no, there's no going back. No. And so yes, and yes. I think that and so this is what I tell people. This is how they end up when I'm like, call Leslie. I say, so if no one has complimented you on your clothing in a while, if no one has said, wow, you look great, then don't style yourself for your magazine feature. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because we get comfortable in our skin. I talk to people all day about it. Even with regard to just life and business or what have you, our brains are wired to keep us comfortable. So if we get comfortable, then we're like, oh, well, let me just go in here and pick a little something out of the closet.
I know how to dress myself.
But if no one has said, woo, if your spouse hasn't been like, woo, baby, then we need to
Yeah.
hire an expert. So
I have
yeah,
to tell you, what's so funny about that too is literally, and time flies. We know it's flown the last 2 years, but this was in
yeah.
2018. I'll never forget. Um, I was in the process of getting ready to launch my book, and I was told that I needed to do a photo shoot. But this just goes to show where your mind is, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So I'm like, a photo shoot. In my mind, I'm thinking, who does photo shoots? Like, that's celebrities, that's big time, And I'm like,
Mhm.
for a book launch? So sure enough, um, I'm like, so just go to like JC Penney. Oh, can I say that? Just go to, one of
I
the
don't know. Are they
stores.
still in Vegas? I don't even
They
know.
are, they are. But
Oh, okay.
everyone went to Penny's and Sears. So I'm thinking, okay, I can
Right.
just probably Portrait Innovations, all these places, right?
Yes.
So the person was like, absolutely not. You need a photo
Yeah.
shoot. Here's the name
Mhm.
of a photographer. Here's the name of a makeup artist. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my goodness.
Mhm.
How much is that going to cost, right? We're caught up in that, right? This is getting out of
Right.
hand. Let me tell you,
Mhm.
once you have that photo shoot, once you see yourself, once you experience, yes, once you experience that, once you experience seeing yourself like you've never seen before, you cannot go back. You
Mhm.
cannot go back, right? So
Mhm.
even with, that's before magazines, that's, it's just like,
Right.
it becomes like, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what I need to do. I want to see my best self. And I
Mhm.
tell clients too, you're going to be featured in a magazine. So think about that for a minute, because I'm a big magazine person. I always have been,
Mhm.
ebony on the wall growing up, every cover,
Yeah.
that, like all of
That
that, right?
essence.
Essence, right? I mean, it was just one of those things that you just aspire to. Never thought it would
Mhm.
happen, but just aspire. But one thing I do remember is being able to flip through those pages and seeing
Mhm.
how beautiful people look. And I paint that picture for people who've never been in a magazine. Like,
Right.
someone's gonna hold this magazine, and this is going to be their first introduction of you.
Mhm.
What do you want them to say?
Mm. Yeah.
So a lot of times the answer is not something that comes right away. They have to think
Mhm.
about it. But you think about it, and that's good, because that's how you want to show up. So
Right.
9 times out of 10, it's probably not going to be what's already in your closet. It's probably not going to be the hairstylist that you've used for 25 years. It's probably not going to
Mhm.
be that little pack of, fashion fair lipstick. We're probably going to have to elevate, right? So, and it's
We have done all kinds of unsolicited advertisement on this call today. We have called all the photographers. We have helped you get hooked. We've called all the magazines. We've called all the, well, not all, but we've called a few makeup lines. Like,
look,
so
it matters. It
it
matters.
matters.
And
It
it's
does.
not until you know that it matters that it will matter to you. Once you
Yes.
know it matters, you cannot go back. And so
Right.
that's why, I do have repeat clients. Hey, this is
Mhm.
coming up. Can you get me ready? Absolutely. What do you need?
Mhm.
But I'll also empower them with the tools too to make the
Mhm.
decision. So I'll get text messages. Hey, I went out this weekend. How did I do? I'm like, okay, you need me.
Mhm.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm like, nope, you don't
Mhm.
need me. You don't need me. You got it. Just getting
Yeah.
into the habit of thinking outside the box, moving past what you've always done to where you're going.
Mhm.
All of that is part of that transformation and enhancement for the person.
And I'll tell you, yes, a good photographer. My photographer, as she says it, laid down her camera and she has started another career. But she was like, if you ever need me to, she was like, I'll pick my camera back up for you. And I was honored because the pictures she was just able to pull pictures that I'm still using today because we went through the pandemic and I wasn't going to be in front of
Right.
anybody's camera, and I'm so grateful because and those shoots were long, but it was
Another thing.
having a stylist, and even though I had learned to do some things on my own. When I prepared all these shots that you see for the magazine, I did not style myself. So having a stylist, I believe, just like you have somebody do your hair, having a
Absolutely.
stylist, having a hairstylist, a fashion stylist, hairstylist, makeup artist. Don't do your own makeup.
Right.
Because if it's an occasion like that, and then having a great photographer. You may remember, and I don't even, when we all saw in our inaugural issue, when we all saw
I already know what you're gonna pull up. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I already knew it.
I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, literally, and she was in a whole other state and everything. But we were all like, wow, like that photographer really caught your essence as well. So I think that your photographer, I know I'm very grateful for mine. You want to find someone, build a relationship, and do it in advance. You want to have these people set up in advance before you need them. You want to have already like vetted them, checked out some of their work, seen some of their portfolio,
their creativity, all of that, their patience. Because
I
don't know about you, but for me, I haven't done a photo shoot. It's been about 6 months, but I'm still, those first couple of clicks, I'm like, okay, get the music going. I need my break. Come on, because I gotta get in the zone. I gotta get in the zone. And then it's like, okay, you gotta have for that.
I bring my own music. I was like, I can't risk it. We don't know what you might have, so I'll bring my own. And so when I was doing my photo shoots last, I had Janet, and I was like, I have to channel my inner Janet Jackson because so because you have to really get out of your head, which is really easy for us to get lost in our thoughts. Getting out of our head and become, transforming, if you will, so that photographer can really get the essence of your personality, catch that little smile that, wasn't even posed. So important. And, one of the things that I would say for me in this journey, and I'm going to ask you, what your thoughts on this are, is one, having these photo shoots and then seeing these pictures of myself at different times along my journey. I have learned how to embrace my curves, no matter how curvy they are, because when we did the cover for the winter issue, Shannon has all my pictures, and I never know what's going to be on the cover. It's a surprise to me too.
I love it.
So, but she got all the pictures, so I'm like, whatever, because she does color scheme and all of that. And when she sent me the cover for the winter this year, I said, "Ooh, my face was so fat." And she chuckled and she said, "I knew you were going to say that." And I said, "But you know what? That's where I was at that time. So we're going to go with it, because I gave you all the pictures. If I didn't want that picture, I shouldn't have included that one. But I want to embrace myself in the days where my face is a little fuller, and where my face, like wherever I am at the time, it's a beautiful picture." And so I've done that on purpose. I really I had to let go of that, and I gave her all my pictures on purpose, because you see, the first thing I saw when she presents this beautiful cover, I was like, "Oh, my face was fat." And my first comment was negative, and she just, she's so patient. She just kind of chuckles that I knew you were going to say that. And then I said, she waited, and I said, "You know what? Go with it." Because that's who I was that day. That's where I was. And that's beautiful too. Like there's no, you know what I mean? And so I have had to grow to that point to embrace, because I think oftentimes women go, "Oh, well, when I lose 20 pounds, or when I, and every day it may not be what I would consider the picture perfect day, but every day really is, because it's who I am at that time. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Think about how much time you waste talking about when or I'm about to. Just do it, right? Just really do it. Embrace you, but it goes back to that. I mean, I can't leave that, because it really does go back to embracing who you are. Fat face, double chin, whatever the case may be. Hey, if it's you, it's you. Do you, and be proud of that and represent that. So I know too, for me, when I think about, what quote unquote is considered cover girl, I'll never forget the first time I got the draft for the very first magazine I was on, and she titled it "Hey Cover Girl." I was at work about to bawl. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Because that was the picture, you know, like you had sent a lot of pictures, you guys choose, you know, but it was just like, do you know what this picture like represents here, and who it's going to inspire, and who it's going to let them know, hey, it's okay if you don't lose the 20 this month, this week, whatever the case may be, it is okay. And even going on forward is because I made a decision to embrace me. This is me. This is who I am. No looking back. I have in my office, I have every magazine I've been on cascaded across the top of my desk. But it's not a what's the word am I looking for? It's not a pride thing. It's a reminder. It's a reminder, absolutely. Right? It's a, you know what, you did that, you're doing that, keep going. People, you know, when magazines are sold, people buy them. It's just embracing all that. It's all part of that journey of, yes, I'm choosing to show up as me, my best me. In my words, my fine me, because I'm pictured. I'm telling you, when I have those photo shoots, if you could dial in my photographer right now, she will tell you every time. She's like, "Give me a minute, because I can't believe it." I'm like tearing up. I'm like, "This is gorgeous," because we didn't see that. We didn't see that growing up a lot. You know, even with Ebony all over, you know, my walls growing up, but there was just a few selection of magazines where we were represented as women, as Black women, as full-figured women, as women with blemishes, all of that. Like, I'm just loving it, right? So I said all that to say, be you, embrace you. And if you have a great photographer, he or she is going to make sure that the best you comes out. And you're right. They're going to catch those moments when you're walking away and it's a little smile. I'm like, when did you catch that? When you were going to talk to your husband? I'm like, for real, I love that. Totally off the script, totally when we weren't posing, but it's those moments, right? That they're able to do that and capture that moment and truly your true essence.
I call it feels like being queen for the day. Absolutely. When I have my photo shoots, it is literally, and you know, I say this to people who are preparing for the magazine because, you know, I'm very keen on this. When you have your photo shoot, I said, you need to bring somebody with you who can help you change. Because once you get your face done, you need your face and your hair. And so literally, I was so grateful to have my stylist is also a personal friend. And so literally she would get down and buckle my shoes for me. So I wasn't bending over because, you know, you get hot and you start sweating. And I tell people, and they kind of look at me strange. I said, you need to make sure whoever goes with you to help you on your photo shoot does not have a jealous spirit and that they are really have a servant's heart. I said, because you need somebody who is going to cater to you and serve you and help you change. I mean, literally, all I had to do was just stand there. She put the earrings on for me. She zipped it. She'd hold the dress and I'd step in it. She'd get down, buckle the shoes. You need to be
you need that cheerleader.
To have somebody who's going to have a servant's heart and allow you to be queen for a day so you can show up and truly not feel that you need to be small.
Shrink down. You don't have to shrink down. Yeah.
Right. And so that is so I tell people that as they're preparing for the magazine, I'm like, you need somebody who can support you, who can handle you being queen for the day.
Yes. Handle you being you. That's what you need. That's what you need on the photo shoot day. That's what you need on Monday, Tuesday.
Yes.
Who can handle you being you. Exactly.
So I thank you for allowing me to show up with all my enthusiasm. I was so happy to see you. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. You're like, whoa. You probably in your mind were like, wait a minute. Oh, it's just Jerika. Nonetheless.
It's always a good time.
I tell you, and I know I tell you again and again, but Leslie, thank you for the gift of your friendship. I never, ever, ever could have imagined in our 2018 meeting each other, 2019 run, 2022 that, I mean, we've spoken on stages together. We've been Y'all better find you a Leslie Hodge. That's all I'm gonna say. You want to find you. You want to find your Leslie Hodge.
I love it.
Thank you for the gift of your friendship. I am so excited at you gotta we've been talking about fashion and our looks, but tell them what else you do, because like you're doing some amazing things. Before we even went live, we were talking about students, because I recently started teaching, and you're like the dean of your own pharmacy technician school. So she is Dean Dr. Leslie Hodge.
I love that.
Yes, I know. That on the name, like Dean Dr. Leslie Hodge. So Dean Hodge, tell us what else you're into these days.
Well, education is key, right? I'm still proud founder of Emerge Learning Institute, where you ignite your career. Have a class getting ready to graduate next week. I'm so excited. So we have 7 new technicians who are getting ready to prepare to take their national exam. I'm just amazed, because literally a year ago, you couldn't have told me. I don't think you could have told me this would happen the way it's happened. And just the outpouring support that has been in place. It's just amazing. And you really couldn't have told me in 2021 when I was, I texted you. Remember that? I texted you and I said, just so you know, I resigned, put in my 2 weeks notice.
I was like so excited.
Community pharmacy after 17 years. And I'm going to go on a 3-month break, and I'm just going to travel and relax and just do all the things that I never got to do and missed out on, because I always felt like I had to work or cover, right? And then a week later, I'm interviewing before a panel to take on a teaching position with Vincennes University and Ben Davis University to be a part of their early college program, which literally has changed my life. I get emotional about it, because to know that you are impacting the next generation literally is just amazing to me. So 2 years into that, but also launching Emerge Learning Institute. So education is definitely part of me. I don't know if I ever shared with you, in 5th grade, I told my teacher I wanted to be a teacher. And she yes, I wanted to be a teacher. She told me absolutely not. She said you will deal with 2 things. And I'm gonna say this, and hopefully friends who listen won't remember who our 5th grade teacher was. But she said, and it's funny to me, she said you're gonna deal with I'll say another word. You're gonna deal with rude parents and you're gonna deal with rude principals. You're better than that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, no teacher, moving right along, right? And then pharmacy was always kind of underneath. So I feel like I'm doing, it's just the reverse. I did the pharmacy thing, but I'm coming back to the love of teaching, which honestly, if you're a pharmacist, you're teaching all the time anyway.
All the time. Patients, other healthcare practitioners.
Yes. So, but this, to be in the classroom and to, see someone come in who shy as I don't know what, won't talk, to can't get them to stop talking, 3 months later, and they're just so excited about life. I love it. I absolutely love it. Are there some tough days? Absolutely.
Yes.
However, the great days outweigh those. So education for me, and definitely equipping the next generation of healthcare providers when it comes to pharmacy technicians. They will always, always, always be the backbone of pharmacy. And we could not be pharmacists without great technicians. So I'm putting my I'm putting my efforts and my hard work into making sure that we have great technicians. And so that's where Emerge Learning Institute comes into play. So that's why
I didn't even know that 5th grade story.
Yeah, and I thought I told you that. She said, nope, you don't want to be, nope, you're better than that. Don't do it. And I'm like, okay. And this other thing. She said, and plus they don't pay. And I'm like, oh.
And I wanted to be a teacher.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in high school, I was the president of the Future Teachers of America Club.
Wow.
And so
See?
I literally, what do you know about what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Mhm.
And so I got my scholarship to FAM, and I was like, well, teachers don't make any money, so I better pick something else. And I didn't know what to pick. So I literally was like, nursing, they got to touch people. And then,
Touch people.
remember, I was 17. And so then I was like,
touch people.
and I don't know how I knew this next one, but I was like, physical therapy. Hey, Pauline. Look, I am all out of order. I'm like yelling, hey, Pauline. She just joined in.
Hey.
So I said physical therapy. No, they got to dissect cats. I don't know how I knew that. But so I'm deciding my profession based upon what I do and don't want to do. So then I was like, okay, pharmacy. I'll go to pharmacy school. And literally, I never read the curriculum. So if you can imagine all the chemistry that I took that we take, my neck did a boomerang like what? Another chemistry? Because I like English and history. So to come full circle, right? Yes, I was upset that the curriculum had chemistry in it. What are they thinking? To come full circle and be at a place in my career where because unfortunately teachers still are, I believe,
they are not compensated at all.
I still believe that good educators are needed. Great educators are needed. Yeah. And so to get full circle in a place in my career where I can teach and enjoy it, I obviously still coach, and that's teaching in some kind. And so Leslie, I got to tell you this, and then we'll wrap us up. I actually tested my substitute teaching skills about a month ago.
Oh, how did that go?
I got an assignment and I had 22 first graders. When I tell you I was in heaven, because remember, I wanted to be a teacher. They were so adorable. I wanted to hug them all. I wanted to bring them all home with me for maybe one day. One day, then I have to take them away. But just to get to a place in your career to think about what you really wanted to do, where your heart is. Now, I'm not saying I want to go be a first grade teacher, but to be at a place that I can even consider, I'll go hang out with the day, for the day. And they were all so adorable that literally I was like in heaven. So I think that even the things that are in our heart when we're young, to come full circle and actually do them later is so rewarding. I never thought that I would teach, though I knew that was what I always wanted to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I didn't know that about you. So just another connection that we have.
Yes. Look, Pauline said no, ma'am, to the first grader. She was like, no,
Pauline, they were great. They are cute. They are cute. They're all cute.
They all wanted to tell me something. Everybody had something to tell me all day long.
And guess what? It doesn't stop.
No.
Everybody wants to tell you something.
Right. Yes. It was so rewarding. Yeah. Nonetheless, Leslie, tell people, thank you, first of all, for stopping by. It's all, like literally, I don't have to have an agenda to have a conversation.
I told you we got this.
Tell people how they can connect with you, how they look. Wait, Pauline is coming late to the party.
Tell all your business.
But she's like, no, let me tell you about these kids.
Tell all your business. Now that is true.
Tell all your business. Who knows what they told their teacher the next day after I was gone?
Because they asked, how was Jessica? Well, she did. I mean, goodness.
Whatever I didn't do according to how it's to be done, I bet they let her know. But nonetheless, I had a ball with them. Tell people how they can get connected with you. What's the one way? We want to have them all lined up on one platform.
You know what? The easiest way is on one platform. Okay, platform. I would just say at Dr. Leslie Hodge. No period. DrLeslieHodge or drlesliehodge.com.
Okay.
Right there. So that would probably be easiest. No period and no S.
Hodge,
no S. I have to
say
that. No S.
Dr. Leslie Hodge, no S.
No
.com. And if for some reason you can't find her, you can always reach out to me and I can get you connected to her. I got everything over here. Nonetheless, thank you so much. I appreciate you anytime. Dr. Pauline and Dr. Katasha, I can't wait until you're next. So that's just I'm throwing my hint out there. All right. Can't wait to see you all as well. And Dr. Leslie, have a wonderful day. And thank you as always for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
By the way, people, get your look together. Call Dr. Leslie.
Together. Call me for the holidays.
Yes, holidays are
for the holidays. Yep.
Really quickly. So yes, get that holiday look. All right. Last comment. Let's see.
Love you too, Dr. Pauline.
Dr. Pauline says that she loves us and we love you too.
Absolutely. Proud of you too. Proud of you, what you're doing. Keep doing it. You're doing amazing things.
Down there in Alabama, I said, Dr. Pauline and Dr. Jennifer, who are also in this magazine. So we can't even turn the camera off.
Did I ever tell you how I met her? How I met Pauline? Not to mention we're sorority sisters, okay? But we didn't even know that. I slid into her DM. So there you never know what's on the other side of sliding into professionally sliding into someone's DMs. Literally, I just she popped up in LinkedIn and I'm like, oh, she looks like me. She's a pharmacist. Let's go. And we connected again. She must have felt comfortable. We were on the phone forever and we've been connected ever since. Probably can I tell the other secret? When I was ready to put in my resignation letter, I text her. I'm like, how do I do it? Tell me how to do it. I don't know how to do it. Tell me how to do it, because she had just done it. And so again, when you're connected to people, they're doing things, a resource. It was just such an inspiration. Like, it's possible in your time. And it was never a rush, but in your time. And sure enough, she showed me. So I thank you. Thank you so much.
Dr. Pauline probably said, let me resign, because if I don't, Jerika Dodd is going to call me again. Dr. Pauline was not even my coaching client, but I was like, hey, look, sis, I need you to go on and leave. I know she was like, who do you think you are? But I was like, I want you to go ahead and leave. It's going to be better when you do. Leslie was getting it from me because she was my coaching client. So she probably was like, okay, another session but I am when I look at, I will let the DST have a congregation.
Oh, I didn't know you were so okay. Natasha, I had no idea.
I will let y'all meet on my platform just briefly. Nonetheless, Dr. Pauline slid into my LinkedIn DM, and that's how we met. And the first time we talked, I wasn't used to, because we weren't trained to have conversations, like peer conversations. We know how to talk to patients, we know how to talk to physicians or what have you. So, she's asking me, she's talking, she's like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And literally I was so taken. I was like, is this an interview? I know she was like, calm down.
Right, calm down,
but
calm down.
When I tell you the friendships that have, come from meeting just even more women in pharmacy that I don't know that I would have ever had an opportunity to meet before. You and I met by the magazine. Dr. Pauline sent me a message on LinkedIn, and there began our friendship. And obviously, her being in the magazine. Dr. Katasha is a friend of one of my other former coaching clients. And so that's how I met her. And there's something to be said for building relationship.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of it out there to do. And I think it just makes this entrepreneurial journey even more rewarding. All right, I'm gonna show you this last couple of comments, because the sorority meeting has convened on And so, now we got Dr. Pauline giving the call. And then, and so now they're like, what? We're connected to Leslie and Eureka. So we got to get connected. And then, Dr. Pauline's like, absolutely. So, and I am so honored to have all of you as part of the PharmaSis family, because I think that there have been amazing women that have been featured in this magazine. And so I'm very grateful to know all of you.
Well, we're grateful.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Leslie, let's close this thing out before we won't be another hour. All right.
Take care.
Talk to you later.
Bye.